So I know Glass comes out in a couple weeks from now, but from what I've learned from past, I always am late to reviews. A lot of the time, if I'm trying to review a franchise, I miss reviewing that franchise because I'm too busy on the week it's coming out, and Glass comes out while the time I'm during school, and I'm still on break right now. So why don't we, and I just saw Unbreakable finally, so why don't we just review Unbreakable right now, so we can get it out of the way. The Glass is only in 2 weeks, so...
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar. Ching, ching, bling, bling, chatter, chatter.
Unbreakable. Shyamalan. Alright, so before we had to really, when we saw a trailer for an M. Night Shyamalan film, before we actually had to really be like, please be good, please! Before we had to be super desperate for M. Night Shyamalan to be good, let's go back to the 90s and 2000s when he actually made good stuff. Unbreakable is a movie directed by M. Night Shyamalan. It stars Bruce Willis and Samuel L. Jackson. Bruce Willis, he's on this train. The train wrecks. He's the only survivor on the train. No scratches. And Samuel L. Jackson is very interested in this person. What's so interesting about a movie like this is that the Rotten Tomatoes score for this movie is 69%, which is interesting to me because this movie's praised as a masterpiece by most people, and I find that interesting. But what's so cool about the movie Unbreakable is the fact that this movie, it's like it didn't work in 2000, but it works in modern era. Why? Because of superhero movies. Comic book movies are I think they are the most money-making movies of all time, currently right now at least. So it's obvious why this movie is ahead of its time. Now note this, Unbreakable, it came out in 2000, which doesn't seem like an awfully long time ago. I mean, 19 years, that is a while ago, but not an awfully long time ago. Here's the thing about 19 years ago. 19 years ago, I wasn't born, obvious, but 19 years ago, Shyamalan was at the top, and superhero movies weren't a popular thing yet. I mean, Bryan Singer's X-Men came out that year, too, the same year this one, and a couple months before this movie, but you only had, the Superman movies and the Batman movies. We didn't have anything that huge. And look at us, in 2018, I'm counting to 2018, not 2019 yet, because we don't have any, we have one movie in 2019. In 2018, the top 2 grossing movies were both superhero movies, literally by Marvel. That's very impressive by Marvel. Nice work. But we love superhero movies, and the thing about Unbreakable is this movie came out before, it came out before the superhero boom, and it's kind of like a movie that's it's a superhero movie, but it isn't a superhero movie, if that makes sense. It's like when you're watching the movie, you're thinking, this is interesting, and then later you're just kind of like, this is an origin story. This is a superhero movie. But there are problems with this movie, don't at me, but my main problems with this movie sprout from from M. Night Shyamalanism, just things M. Night Shyamalan commonly does. Weird, awkward camera angles. Let's see there's a lot of things that you find in this movie. There's some dumb dialogue in there. There's the really cringy M. Night Shyamalan cameo that he still does. Yeah, there's just these little M. Night Shyamalan things. You know the stuff, the face zoom in, things like that. Just these awkward camera angles he shoots at. A lot of the time, and one thing that's kind of interesting about this movie that I realize is, sometimes in the movie, the way M. Night Shyamalan's filming it, the entire time he just wants it to look unique so much that it becomes distracting on its own. So yeah, that's my main problem with the movie. The rest of it's great. It's great. This is a superhero movie without being a superhero movie. What other movie can say that? None. Honestly, another problem I do have with this movie is that I actually found Mr. Glass far more interesting than David Dunn. David Dunn's still an entertaining character to watch. I still find him interesting. But it was Mr. Glass had such an interesting story to me. Mr. Glass is... I can't wait for Glass because he's such an interesting character. And in here, David Dunn, he's also an interesting character, but not as interesting in my opinion. But the thing about... Okay, so Unbreakable... It's like this movie didn't work in 2000 because it was ahead of its time. But if this movie came out in 2018 or something, people would love it because it'd be a breath of fresh air from all this big comic book movie stuff that's happening. It'd be a nice, calmer superhero movie. That's 2018. This movie came out in 2000. This movie's a couple decades ahead of its time. That is impressive on its own. I find it cool how a movie doesn't get... A lot of people were just like, when it came out. Now we're here in 2018, and now the movie's praised as a masterpiece by a lot of people. Because it's like... This works in 2018 because now everyone knows superhero movies. They're everywhere, so it's nice to see a breath of fresh air. This movie really works in 2018. I would say that this is the least dated movie I've seen from the era, like the 90s, really early 2000s, stuff like that. I would dare to say this movie is far less dated than either of the Spider-Man films, like Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 2. I love those movies, yes, but they're dated, admittedly dated. Unbreakable is not dated because it actually feels like a 2018 movie. It's so good. It's such an interesting movie, in my opinion, because it's like, didn't work then, now it works. Why? Because of the superhero movies everywhere. In fact, under final watching this movie, this is probably my favorite M. Night Shyamalan film, because I enjoyed it the most. I think it's just the best of all the M. Night Shyamalan films. Not from a standpoint of like, you know, Infinity War is my favorite Marvel film because of everything it does and how just great of a film it is. It might not be the technically best, and I know it's not the technically best, but it's my favorite. This movie's my favorite M. Night Shyamalan film, and I think it's the best M. Night Shyamalan film. Yeah, I really, really, really like Unbreakable. Yeah. Overall, I've said everything I need to say. Unbreakable is a great movie. It's a great superhero movie. It's a great origin story, which I can't wait to see the sequel. Finally, I can't believe this took us 20 years to get a sequel. Well, almost 20 years, but we finally got a sequel. Yay, I'm excited to see Glass in a couple weeks. When will the embargo lift for that thing? I don't know. But yeah. Yes, I know. Y'all know that the twist at the end of this movie. I've already talked about Split, so go check out my Split review if you want to hear what I think on the ending. But now that I've seen Unbreakable, I guess I can talk about the ending. But it doesn't change the ending of Split for me at all. Now I just spoiled... Like, the thing about an Unbreakable review, if you don't want to spoil the ending of Split, and an Unbreakable review, if you even mention Split, and there's a twist that connects the two, you've already spoiled it. But I don't think anyone watching this video hasn't seen Split, and if you haven't seen Split, I'm very, very sorry. Anyway, bye! Wait, hold up, I forgot to do the rating. Thanks for catching that. I'm gonna give Unbreakable a 9. Alright? I've already done the outro. Bye.